So I'm an intergenerational survivor. I grew up Catholic, and I left the Catholic Church when I found out about residential schools at 11 or 12, and I was very angry. And I spent my teenage years very angry. And it wasn't until I had my own daughter that I realized I couldn't raise her the same way, that intergenerational trauma had to end. And that's really when my reconciliation journey started.
I think that I'm seeing a lot of interest. I think reconciliation is a huge buzzword now, so it's good to hear a lot of people are interested in finding ways to contribute to mobilizing reconciliation. I think it's going to mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, kind of based on where they're at personally and professionally. So I think there's a lot of interest, but there's also a lot of questions on what to do, how to do it.
I think there's a tidal wave of change at the moment. The whole country is kind of standing up from coast to coast.
I think we're hearing it from leadership a lot. So Mayor Nenshi is a huge kind of advocate on the need for reconciliation. I think we're hearing it nationally a lot. It's becoming this big buzzword. So just as an example, you're hearing the words and the language about reconciliation used a lot more.
I think there's a willingness to open into dialogue and to start talking about it and to start understanding both our history, but also what that means for our future.
More open to know about Aboriginals and where they come from, open to know more about the culture, and just not just judging and saying like that they're this or that.
So I think there's a growing awareness and willingness on the part of Indigenous and non-Indigenous Canadians to embrace reconciliation, to listen to the stories that need to be told, to create space for that dialogue, which is wonderful. It's a part of the healing journey that needs to happen on both sides.
There's a willingness to help with what we're trying to do.
I hope to see a world where we're all equal. Where we recognize that we're all one, where children's lives are valued, where all children have access to health care and food and education.
I know you can't diminish racism as a whole, but racism needs to stop. Racism needs to be minimized to as little as possible. And the ones that are racist and talk so bad about First Nations or any other culture, they need to educate themselves within that culture and understand why they are the way they are. They can't just make the judgments that they feel that is right.
I'm hoping that in 5 to 10 years that it could just continue to live and thrive. I'm not sure that there should be a definite deadline or a timeline to the work, because I think if we want to create some sort of systemic shift in how the future looks for, say, my 6-year-old daughter or your children, your grandchildren, I'm just not sure that there should be an end.
I think there should be a space like the Indigenous Gathering Place that has creation stories when people walk in, and if they're Soto from Manitoba, they can walk over there and it's there, the story is there. They can listen to somebody tell it.
I think a lot of it is going to come down to equality and equity, people being open with each other, honest, and I think it will create a different level of trust and respect and the relationships that we have as a nation. And I think that in the future, I think that can look very different, and I think that we can become from it as a place of equals, humanity coming together.